This is the Young and Growing Podcast.
Whether you come to a conclusion or not, you've probably took a step forward in the right direction.
With Isaiah Gunther.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Young and Growing. I am your host, Isaiah Gunther. And man, it is March 21st, 2020. It is a Saturday, and I'm telling you, this past week, this 2020, has been crazy. It's been insane. I mean, everything that's been going on. I want to dedicate this podcast to you know, some of the things that we could be doing to getting just a little bit better when it comes to this coronavirus and what life is like today. You know, things are slowly starting to change, and you know, people are going to be stuck in the house. So I got a really close friend with me today, Mr. Mike Ross. What's up, dog? How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on, Isaiah.
Oh man, so you know, Mike was a college wrestler. You went to college play. You ran track as well.
Yes.
So track, wrestling. You are now getting into PT school.
Working on it.
Working on getting into PT school. You know, Mike's probably one of the best, you know, physical trainers that I've worked with in a long time. In fact, you know, I don't know if I'd be where I am today if it wasn't for working out and spending a lot of time with Mike. Really smart. Loves to talk about health and loves to educate himself on these things. So, you know, me and Mike was doing a workout outside, and you know, we just decided, you know, this podcast this week, let's just let's talk about, you know, some things that we could be doing during this coronavirus. You know, not only when it comes to doing our part, but some things that we could be doing during self-quarantine. And we just started rattling this stuff off. And I just thought it was like something that I need to be sharing with you guys. So this won't be a really long podcast. I got some people lined up. Like I said, this has just been a crazy week, kind of threw everybody off. So we're still trying to get used to you know, what life looks like, you know, with and without jobs, and you know, if the government's going to send us that $1,000 check or not, because you know,
that would be pretty nice.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. So first, Mike, thanks so much for being on, dude. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, thanks for having me on. And like you said, it's a really weird time for probably the first time in a long time. I'm technically unemployed.
Oh my gosh, it's
so
weird.
Got laid off both of my jobs because of this. You know, working at a gym is it's a great thing, but now with closing all the gyms and such clubs, it's kind of weird. I mean, we can always make that side money, you know, doing personal training and home or online workouts and stuff.
Right,
but you know, I will tell you, nothing ever is going to beat that in the studio, in the gym training that you get, you know, with that one-on-one.
Oh my gosh,
that or a small group.
It's just thrown a chunk of people off their track.
Absolutely,
it's just been weird when it comes to just work and, you know, going to the mall, like going out to eat. You know, think about how many people, you know, used to going out to eat, and we're like, we can't even go out to eat anymore. Like, I've got gift cards to like Cheesecake Factory, all kinds of crazy stuff. I can't even go use them. I'm like,
it's kind of a double-edged sword. Well, you know, it's bad. Like, you can't do that stuff. But hey, maybe those pocketbooks aren't not going to be hurting as much. I mean, they might with rent and, you know, stuff like that. But you're saving some money on the back end. You know, not going out to eat.
For sure. All right, dude. So let's dive into this, right? So the coronavirus is going on. Now, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not doing any research on the coronavirus. You know, I've read things, tiny bit of research. What I do know is it's real.
Yes.
And it's killing people.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, what I've got from this so far is that, you know, people with, you know, immune system issues, or previous immune system issues, or, you know, cancers or things like that. And, people with, you know, that are just older people that are getting worse immune systems, you know, that aren't working as well. That's the target population that's really getting affected by this.
For the most part, absolutely. I mean, there have been some deaths of some of these younger people.
Yeah.
But that's not the norm.
Right.
Looking at most of the population that's been hit really hard, you know, it's the elderly. Smokers are definitely one of those, like, they're already having some respiratory issues in the first place because of such smoking. And that coronavirus just really isn't going to help, you know, that along. But yeah, most of the people that are getting hit, smokers, older people, diabetes, having a lot of issues with that. And fortunately, in America today, the rate of smoking has gone down tremendously from what it used to be.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, our rate of obesity and diabetes has gone up.
Yep.
And that's a big thing for me. I'm worrying about how a lot of these Americans are going to do out here. A lot of people out there have diabetes, and diabetes is definitely one of the conditions that is on the watch list for people if they get corona.
Man. And then you start to think, right? I mean, that ties into everything.
Absolutely.
It ties into everything. So how can we do our part just as, regular citizens? What do you think? Because, I mean, obviously the basic stuff, right? Wash your hands. But, like, what do you think are some things that we can do during our, what can we do during our time to make sure that we're keeping all the people around us safe?
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely listen to those healthcare professionals that are out there saying, hey, self-quarantine, stay away from, your elderly family, contact them, via FaceTime, Skype, phone call, but, just try not to get around them, like we were talking, a lot of those elderly people are the ones that are going to be at most at risk for having a really tough time with the corona. So really just staying away from large crowds. It's kind of easy now here in Ohio since everything's closing down for the most part, and no gyms, no restaurants, anything like that. But definitely self-quarantine. And self-quarantine doesn't necessarily mean stay in your house all day. I mean, there's things we can go do, like what we did. We just went outside, had a nice workout.
Yep.
Stayed 6 feet apart.
Right.
But,
tried to anyway.
But definitely, you're still quarantining yourself. You're not going out in public. Simple things like checking your temperature every day. That's one of the basic things that these healthcare professionals are stating. And, I'm not a healthcare professional.
Right.
I'm just reiterating what is on the news or everything that you're hearing already. So, checking your temperature. If you think you are getting sick, call your doctor's office ahead of time. Just simple stuff like that.
Yeah. Washing your hands, man. Like, just so simple. I can tell you what, I mean, of course I wash my hands, but like ever since this thing's happened, I've been so much more conscious to wash my hands all the time. Like, I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm healthy, but I definitely need to wash my hands.
Oh,
get
absolutely.
This thing off. Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So let's dive into the big conversation, right? No matter where we go, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, like the whole social media, everybody out there, because we're spending a lot of time on social media now. Everybody out there is talking about being self-quarantine, being, at home. And I think that there are obviously some negatives to this, but I think that we can make this self-quarantine really positive. And I think we can turn this thing really, turn this thing into something for our younger growing listeners, during this time, how can we still make sure that we're on our grind, right?
Yep.
Like, how can we make sure that we're still making ourselves a little bit better? Because when we're at home, right, especially when you're not getting any sunlight, if you live in Ohio, you know what that's like to not have sunlight all the time, right? Like during the winter time, like the gloomy days, it's really, really easy to get stressed and to get,
Caught up in that funk.
Caught up in the funk, right? Like I'm not exercising, I'm not going outside, I'm not getting any fresh air, and it can lead to a lot of bad, depression, anxiety, stress, like
Absolutely.
all kinds of crazy stuff, right? So, I think it would be really smart to kind of at least open our minds and talk a little bit about, what are some things, let's talk about stress for a second, right? Like, what are some things that we can do to manage stress and not, get stuck in that funk? Even if we dive into that, like, how can we make sure that we're still on our same routine? What are some things that,
Yeah.
that you think that we can do?
Well, talking about social media, we do have a lot more free time on our hands. A lot of people are either laid off or have reduced hours at work. One of the best things that we can do, and I'm guilty of being in this, but maybe we should be staying a little bit off social media.
Ooh.
Not necessarily staying on social media, but stay informed everything going on, but stay off social media. Don't make this the time to be on social media anymore. Make this the time to be off of social media. Get it out of your life. Take that stressor out. I mean, I can't remember the last time I would get on Twitter. I had to delete a lot of people off Twitter, but I can't remember the last time I just thought, man, that was a really good Twitter experience. A lot of stressful, anxiety-ridden things, just a lot of negativity on there.
Yeah, you're right. And honestly, that's the kind of downfall of social media sometimes, is it is a lot of negativity. Whatever you read is what you're soaking in.
Absolutely.
What you read is what you're soaking in. So if you spend a lot of time, and it's easy now to kind of
really get sucked in.
get sucked in and reading all these things that could be negative. You know, you got to be careful, be aware. So yeah, you know, staying off of social media, that'll definitely manage stress. You know, what about things like nutrition, man? How important is it to be putting the right fuel in your body now, especially that we're not, you know, on our regular, because I know it's super easy for me to be watching TV. Like, am I hungry or am I just bored? Like,
right.
Am I going to get a snack? Am I going to check the refrigerator because it's there or because I'm actually hungry?
Bored eating is definitely a thing.
It's definitely a thing. So,
I mean, how many times have you just opened up that fridge, went back 10 minutes later, opened up, look at the same dang thing? And
just been like, what the heck is, I know it's in this thing. So, you know, how important is nutrition at this time, man?
I don't think necessarily nutrition is any more important, but one thing that's going to happen is it's going to probably be a little bit harder for you to get a lot of the things that you want. I mean, the grocery stores around here have just gone nuts. Like, people have just hoarded so much, you know, supplies, whether it be like toilet paper, which for whatever I don't understand the toilet paper thing. If someone could, you know, email me about that, like, or, you know, call me and let me know why everybody's hoarding toilet paper.
Yep.
But it's definitely going to be harder to get a lot of the things you want. I mean, I went to the store the last 3 days and I couldn't find any chicken, any good meats.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've really been doing is I've been starting to rely on canned beans. A lot of canned beans, stuff like
good
that.
Protein there.
Legumes have a lot of high protein there.
Yep.
Nuts
and seeds.
And you know what? It's not necessarily like, you know, why aren't we getting all organic food or anything like that? Just like get food that you would normally, you know, try to eat, you know, a little bit like quote unquote healthier food. I mean, don't stock up on chips and sit there and eat a bag
Oreos.
of chips and dude,
man,
don't sit there and eat Oreos.
Oh my gosh, like
it's so hard.
It's just easy to, you know, it's easy to do that. And I think that falls into, you know, us now becoming stressed because we're not, you know, putting the right foods in our bodies, and then that becomes a bigger problem. And it's like a big snowball effect of us being stuck in the house and then that self-quarantine. You know, I think that's huge. I think it's huge. So, you know, eating the right foods, trying to get the right proteins and those things in, the right vitamins and nutrients. Exercise, man, like, here's the crazy part. I've always been against at-home exercising because I think that when it's available, you know, being in that right environment, going to a gym or to, you know, a fitness club and getting an exercise in there, it's just the right environment. It's so much easier to get an exercise in when you're there.
You definitely have more accountability with the people around.
Exactly, right? So now that self-quarantine's happened, you know, our club has been running, you know, Facebook Live videos. I know your club's starting to run Facebook Live videos with exercise, and all kinds of people are on there joining in and doing workouts at home. And I'm telling you, these workouts at home have been busting my butt, dude. No weights, you know, and so I think that's extremely important too, is to stay moving. You know, we cracked the window open. You know, we did the workout right in our living room, took an hour, you know, we sweat a little bit, take a shower, and it's like, man, you feel so much better throughout the day, you know, especially working out today. Like, dude, I feel so much better that we got, you know, moving. You know, we got to do something. One
thing about these at-home workouts, I think a lot of people forget how tough a lot of these bodyweight exercises can be. It's a lost art, you know. Most of the people that are just doing strictly body weight exercises are people doing yoga or Pilates. Well, Pilates has a little bit of machines here and there, but definitely body weight exercises can be made to be some of the toughest things you can do. I mean,
brutal. Right? Brutal.
I mean, just think about it. You could do something like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds of rest, or something shorter if you need that. But there's no way that these bodyweight exercises aren't good, and we definitely should be doing these exercises. You know, work on your weaknesses. You know, maybe during this time, flexibility hasn't been a strong suit for you.
Oh my God!
Take a few extra moments to, you know, roll out, stretch, do whatever you need to do at the end of your workout. You know, really try to get the benefits of that, you know, a little bit extra time, add a little bit of flexibility in.
Yeah, man, that dives right into self-development. Right? Yeah. Like, man, like the time that we have now, like you have time to now, you know, do some of those things. We were just talking about reading books, right? Like reading books, listening to books, listening to podcasts, right? Like what you read and what you fill your brain with is what you're going to be focused on during this time.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what we'll close on, you know, we'll dive back into that, but man, self-develop. These guys can be reading, these guys could be learning a new skill, just like you were talking about it. That's what popped in my head was you talking about stretching. If you're not mobile, this is a perfect time to be sitting at home and working on mobility. If you want to work on wood chop, wood shop and things like that, like, dude, go, you know what I mean? You go do these things. I don't know, just, go do these things.
It's like, you have that, that room in your house that you haven't painted, or, go figure out how to paint.
Man,
it's easy.
Do something.
You want to learn how to put up crown molding. Go watch yourself a YouTube video.
Man.
Get a saw. I mean, this is just stuff that you can learn and develop with. Even if you think it's just a silly thing like that, you're still developing yourself.
You are.
In one way. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I developed myself maturity-wise today.
You don't have to, you don't have to sit around it. You don't have to sit around and be, bored.
No,
you don't have to be like there are a lot of different things that we could be doing and working on. You just got to get up and
especially a lot of these physical skills, like manual labor-wise, I think it's starting to be a lost art. And, I'm not the best at some of these things, but one of the things I really do want to get out of this is I want to start learning a little bit more about cars, how to work on, some of these, just to do the basic things, like how to change my brakes, something
change
easy.
Brakes, change your oil, things that you don't have to go pay people $50-$60
right.
to do these things. You could do it on your own.
Yeah, just something as simple as that. I mean, just developing myself in one way. Like I said, it doesn't have to be like, I learned one other way how to lead someone else.
Yeah.
Work on yourself a little bit.
I love that, dude. I love that. And you know what? Think about the time that we have, right? We can dive into time. Think about the time that we have with our close and our immediate family. We're used to waking up, seeing them in the morning before the day starts, going all day, not seeing our immediate family, finally making it home 5, 6, 7 o'clock, eating dinner, talking about our day, going to bed and repeat. We're not used to all this time being with our, significant others and our immediate family. I think it's really important to enjoy this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Make it really really positive. To sit down and read a book with your significant other and play a game and watch a movie together and make a dinner, right? Pick out a recipe online and make a dinner together. Bake, cook, whatever. Do stuff together because that, it's precious. It's precious. Yeah. That's time that, we can't go back and look like we can really be positive with this time and have a good, experience while staying safe and being positive and things like that. So, what are some things that you think that you and Kelson are going to be doing, that like now that you've got this free time, what are some things that you feel like you're going to take advantage of?
I mean, just the time together, my girlfriend and I, we kind of work opposite schedules.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to it. Like we do get to see each other, quite a bit throughout the week, but it's only in like here and there little moments, like little, maybe an hour or two a day, and then I'm off to work or she's off to class or something or off to work.
Yeah.
Really have been just, I've just been cherishing my time with her. I mean, this is a real weird time. We were joking about it. I think a lot of people are either going to come out of this with the best relationship of their life and the person that they're going to marry, or there's going to be a lot of people that are going to get divorced and break up with their girlfriends because maybe they actually find out who they are during this time.
Man,
and, like I said, I've cherished every moment I've had. She's at work today, get a little break. But,
yeah. Caitlin unfortunately has the same thing. They're in that medical field where they got to continue to work. But no, I think that's important. The time with your immediate household. Spend it wisely. Take advantage of it. It's really important. Meditate, dude. Like this is really important. People don't. I think you should really take some time and Google. Whoever's listening to this. Google how to really meditate and practice it. Practice it like you would read a book. Practice it like you would, lift weights or exercise or whatever. Listen to the new album that came out, right? Like practice it. I think people can meditate in a billion different ways. Mike, you agree, right? Like people can meditate in a million different ways.
Absolutely.
It's their way to escape. And I think people got to understand that first. Meditation. What's meditation to you?
Really what meditation to me is just being able to clear your mind of kind of the extra noise in your life that day and just be able to really focus on a singular problem or a singular thought that you've had and, just really work it out. Whether you come to a conclusion or not, you've probably took a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah.
Now, personally, for me, I sometimes use an app called a Headspace.
Yeah.
It's a meditation app, and I know there's a few other apps out there that are really good with these meditation apps that are actually giving out some free trials because they realize that mental health is going to be a very big thing in the next few months with people being isolated from each other. With being isolated, you're going to have a lot of these depressive moods come out, and a lot of these people realize that. So a lot of these great applications are just giving out free trials for like a couple months. I know Headspace is giving out a free trial for anybody in the medical field that's been affected, just to help keep up with with their own mental health, and
escaping, right? Like, man, escaping from reality, dude. Because I escape from reality, like getting in the quiet. When everything's real quiet and I can just kind of sit and think, I think it's kind of weird, but like in the shower sometimes is where I really, I'm alone. There's nothing going on. It's just the water. And I'm just thinking. I'm like, okay, what can I be doing? How can I, it kind of relieves me. You know what I mean? Just like, getting in video games, right? Like stealing away, getting into a video game, escaping from the real world for a little bit. Getting away from people for a while and just really just finding you.
Well, I don't know about the video game part. I feel like
I like it, dude. I think
that's more of separating yourself in not a good way.
Get out of here.
Obviously,
I feel like it's some meditation sometimes. I'm like, man, just let me play the video game, get away from the world for a minute, meditate. I'll come back.
Yeah, the problem, in my personal opinion, I think that's more of you're running away from something rather than attacking something straight on.
I'm just trying to link this to you, because I think it's a good way to I think it's okay to do that sometimes. But meditate, right, guys? I think it's really important to just kind of get your headspace right. And this kind of follows into how important positive thinking is. I think it's really healthy, to think really positive and upbeat about things right now. It's real easy to kind of get real negative, and like we were talking about earlier, social media, how a lot of times it's just negative. But I think it's important to stay positive, stay focused on those goals. What do you think are some things that people can do to kind of just make sure that they're still positive and upbeat throughout the week, during this time?
Definitely the big one. Like I said, get off social media. It's one of the things I'm going to be working on the next few weeks during this quarantine is staying off social media as much. But, hopping in on that exercise, learn that, new skill, just these few things that you can do to, check a list, make yourself feel good about, some of the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
But definitely one of the best things that I've felt that has helped me the most is, obviously I'm very worried about the situation that's going on. But I'm just doing what I can. I'm controlling what I can control. I can't control everything.
Yeah.
So I'm taking care of what I can control. I'm working out.
Yeah.
I'm doing some self-development things. I'm reading, got books on audio or Audible. So I'm listening to those. I got plenty of time there, making sure like now that more than ever, I'm learning how to cook even better than I have.
Oh yeah.
I love cooking already.
Oh, yeah.
But, trying out some new recipes and stuff like that. I got plenty of time on my hands. And
just making yourself feel good.
Yeah.
Right? Like accomplishments, little things around the house. I was thinking like,
make
okay.
a checklist.
Yeah, like, okay, this was one, shampooing my carpet. Dude, we don't shampoo our carpets all the time. It's like a twice a year type deal, right? So I'm like, man, you know what? We're going to shampoo our carpet. We got time? Boom, we shampooed the carpet. Like,
and
it's
so
just,
feel good. You did something.
And then you're walking around, you're like, oh, okay, the house is clean. You know what I mean? Like, just little accomplishments to get the thing, get the day done, but also keep you moving. I think that's huge, man. I think that's huge. Positive thinking, just keep that good mindset. Remember, I always try to think there's a 20-foot bubble around me everywhere I go. And whatever my attitude is like during that 20-foot bubble, the people that are going to be around me are going to feel that energy, and, it's going to affect them. So, think of the people that are in your bubble. Should only be a few. Self-quarantine. But, try to have a positive attitude, try to keep everybody upbeat. If there's any way possible that you can still give back, give back. I think this is I think this self-quarantine is really going to teach us a lot. It's going to make us come together, as the nation. I feel like as, not necessarily divided, but there's a lot of division in our nation, and I think that this self-quarantine is really going to bring us back to a united, let's work together to get something done and not just point fingers.
Absolutely.
I think this is great. Mike, dude, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Appreciate you.
I think this is a solid 25 minutes of us just sharing some thoughts, some ideas, and I think some people are gonna get some stuff out of this. Thank you guys so much for listening. Make sure that you guys go to the channel, subscribe, share this on Facebook, Instagram, whatever you want to share it on. If somebody gets anything from this, hand it off to somebody. That's all I ever ask. We're gonna keep recording these things. I got some really cool people lined up. I think we can really make a difference, and I think people are gonna have some things to say during this time. Our mind's going. We slowed down from work a little bit, so let's just keep this thing rocking. You guys exercise, take care of yourselves, wash your hands. Everything that you need to do.
Stay active.
100%.
Whether you're outside pounding pavement or doing some inside body weight
Dude,
exercise.
whatever you got to do, stay active. Keep that blood flowing. Positive thinking. Thank you guys so much. Young and Growing. We are out.